it felt like I knew him my whole life. It felt like we've known each other for lifetimes. It wasn't about like I like this guy and I want to date him. It was like I just felt really comfortable talking to him. A mutual friend of ours was there, and that's the reason why we even got introduced in that moment. And so when at the end of the meeting, it was we started talking. We didn't stop talking for like 3 hours, and at the end of the meeting, we exchanged emails. So a week later, he sends me an email. I forgot his name. Like I forgot that it was Bev. We were so engaged. It wasn't about like somebody's name. It was like, so I saw John, his email was John. It started with John. So I started calling him John and he never corrected me. So it was like, after 3 weeks of dating, his friends were all like, I go see him at his house and he has all his friends there. And his friends are all like, Bev this, Bev that. And I look at him and I said, why is everybody calling you Bev? He's like, that's my name.
So you guys were soulmates from the beginning. How long after that then did you guys get married?
Right away. I think less than a month.
Really? Oh, girl, I'm trying to get somebody to stick. You got a husband in a month. Kudos. Okay. Kudos. That's all I can say. And so now you guys have twins.
Yeah, now we have twins, Gaia and Ether.
Okay.
And so, they're 7 years old now. He had a previous son from his previous marriage. His name was Kai. So Kai actually, and this is all, I'm giving you this information also because of the name. So Kai means ocean in Polynesian. And so when we had our babies, and I loved Kai's name. So he named his son Kai Miles Land. I was like, oh my God, that's a beautiful name. I want my kids to have amazing names too. So can you name them? And we found out that we were having twins. I was like, you're in charge of naming the kids. So, my husband used to be like a history, major. He's a very creative entity in his own right. And so he had looked up these names and, we're very much into civilizations and gods and goddesses. And so Gaia means the Greek goddess of earth. And ether means the Greek god of the upper air that only the gods could breathe, hence the medical term ether. And so then we have, air and, air, water, and yeah, exactly. And earth. And so he says, I'm the fire. So I think we're done.
You said that'll do it. But wait a minute. You went back to work 2 weeks after giving birth?
2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks after giving birth. I know it was, it's so crazy. I mean, thank God that I was doing a comedy because I was still, I think, in stitches. My son, they had to suction cup him out because he wasn't ready, right? So I had stitches on the inside of my body when I was at work. And so I kind of had to walk kind of weird, with like this like shuffle almost, I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to use it. So for the last 3 seasons of Devious Mates, I have this like little stop and go kind of walk because
You push through though. That's what women do. We push through, we make it do what it do. But also my producer told me that you went on to play Cinderella in Once Upon a Time. And the fans were just thrilled to see a Latina play Cinderella. And so then you posted a video on Instagram and your twins were saying, Mommy, my mommy is Cinderella. How did that make you feel?
It's still surreal. It's it's a surreal moment because, so Cinderella, like many other, movies and shows, it's not, obviously it's blonde, white,
traditional American, homogenized, images.
Yeah. And so to be given the opportunity to then have my own take on what that meant and be able to portray that was already to me a surreal moment. Like I remember when I got the job, I was like in Hawaii, I started crying because I didn't even know that I was auditioning for that role. They wouldn't tell anybody what the role was. So they flew back to LA to test for the role. All I know is that I had to have chemistry with this guy. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do my chemistry read. And so then I went back and then I got the job. They called me up and they're like, you're going to be playing Cinderella. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be like a Disney. What is happening in my life? Disney princess? What? This is crazy. And here I am, this Dominican, Afro-Dominican.
I love it.
It was a very surreal moment for me. But really what made it even more special is that moment when my children got to like watch it on screen, and I wasn't even able to be there. I was filming. So my husband, Yeah, so my husband, had taped them, and it was just such a beautiful moment. Just still, like, I still remember it till this day. And when it comes to that particular role, it really mattered to me because of my children, because I do want them to grow up in a world that they understand that anything is possible, and that
Exactly.
there are no boxes and there is no limit to what you can do.
I mean, you are just getting amazing roles because now you're tackling being a superhero in Sweet Tooth, which I looked today at the trailer um and loved it because it's executive produced by Susan and Robert Downey Jr. I mean, you're just getting these diamonds thrown at you for roles, honey. Okay, from Cinderella to now, this comic book TV series. It's on Netflix. That it's about human animal hybrid children in a post apocalyptic. This word always gets me. Thank you.
Apocalyptic, yeah.
Yes, girl, that word, you got me. Thank you, sister. Tell me all about this new series, Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth is, what an amazing experience it has been from the very beginning. I'll give you a little background on it. I got the role at the height of the pandemic, and when I didn't know much about it. We didn't get the script. We knew that Susan and Robert Downey Jr. were behind it. I did my research, and Jim Mickle and Beth Schwartz were, co-creators of it. The comic book was written by Jeff Lemire. It was this like beloved DC comic, and
Mm.
I was just excited when I got the scene. It was like a 5-page scene in which I'm talking to my daughter, who happens to be half pig, half human. And I just connected to it because of my children.
Yes.
I it was a show that really was giving me the opportunity to play this mother-like figure, for these hybrid babies, and I felt really connected to that experience. So it
Mm.
was a big deal for me to be a part of it because of my kids and because of the message that I wanted to send out to the world. And it's a very special show. The show follows this 10-year-old half deer, half human boy, as he's on a path to self-discovery in a post-apocalyptic world. And the post-apocalyptic world sort of happens at the height of a pandemic. So it was very
Mm.
relevant to what we were going through at this, like through during
Yes.
COVID. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is like been written. The pilot itself was shot back in 2019. So they were,
Mm.
Netflix picked it up for series a couple months before the pandemic happened. And it just felt like so serendipitous, like it was just meant to be.